In this video, I'm going to give you a simple and powerful 4-step process to release and transcend any limiting, lack, or negative belief so that you can align with your desire and see it manifest for real in your waking life. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tom and I make videos that help you empower your higher self and manifest your dream life. If you'd like to win 60 minutes of one-on-one coaching with me, comment below, it is done. Winners are announced every week. So when we talk about limiting, lack, or negative beliefs, what do we really mean and what's the difference? Well, truth be told, they are all slightly different. They sort of come from different angles when we really observe them under a microscope. But that's not really necessary to split hairs between these definitions in this video. So what we're going to define them as is any thought form that when we place our awareness over it, it makes us feel some kind of negative or undesirable emotion. So emotions such as doubts, fears, despair, apathy. So the key here is that if we uncover these thoughts within us, release and heal them, then we have freed up space to then focus on positive, empowering thoughts, fuel ourselves up with powerful positive emotions, and then based on the law of attraction, whatever frequency of consciousness we are in, reality then becomes the mirror of that consciousness. We start to draw in like experiences or expand towards like experiences, however you want to look at it, such that our desires and our dreams literally appear in materialized physical form for us. So, where are these limiting beliefs stored and why are they there? And how are they potentially disrupting your frequency of consciousness and thus your ability to align and manifest what it is you want? You may have positive desires and be doing affirmations on them, imagining them, doing everything you can to impress them into that subconscious mind, which manifests your reality, yet you experience these emotions, these negative limiting emotions and thoughts. And so what's happening is, at a conscious level, you are selecting your desire, but that conscious mind only accounts for about 5% of our human operating system, our mind. Whereas what's really going on is in your subconscious mind, the 95% of you, the vast, powerful, manifesting you, still has a mixture of things. So what happens is, on a conscious level, you desire certain things, but on a subconscious level, there are many various things in there, and they are firing away on autopilot no matter what you're consciously wanting to create. Now, if I didn't mention it earlier, the top half of the circle is the conscious mind, where you select your desire, which is the tick symbol. The bottom half of the circle is your subconscious mind, the manifesting mind, where you impress your desire, which again is the tick symbol, but also within which past programming and contents, usually negative stuff, can already exist in there, hence the cross symbol. So what happens when the two are both in your subconscious mind, a positive program and a negative program? Well, they get into a state of friction, and that, on a conscious level, manifests as some kind of negative emotion, such as we described. If you're not impressing anything at all, then it will usually be apathy, because apathy takes a while to develop. It's a real state of disempowerment, and thus you're likely operating only on negative ideas for the majority of the time. You're not impressing anything new in. Whereas if you're impressing something positive, but that's stretching your ego and stretching you out of your comfort zone, then you'll feel doubt and fear. Such as you want to manifest a job and all of a sudden you get the compulsion to quit and start your own business, and it manifests as fear and terror because a part of you is saying, yes, I'm a creator, I can do this, this feels right. Whereas the old negative programming part of you is saying, what if we run out of money? What if we end up on the street? You're not good enough for this, you don't have the skills, etc. And they clash in and manifest out as a negative emotion, a negative frequency of consciousness. So this is all normal, by the way. This is all part of the manifestation journey, especially when you're creating bigger life desires and you're bringing a real transformation in yourself and your outer reality. But nonetheless, wouldn't it be nice to really utilize that state of friction in which we can see the negative emotion and experience it palpably, and then channel that in a positive way such that it can leave our being, leave our frequency for good, and we just get to keep the positive programming in our subconscious after. Our desire becomes the dominant force driving our life thereon. So this step is literally about unmixing our frequency. That's what it means to remove a limiting belief. We clear our frequency and only keep it on the dominant positive trajectory and theme. And this is chiefly done through 3 steps. Awareness, principally by listening and looking at our emotions. And when we are in a negative state, realizing we must be involved with some kind of negative, limiting, or lack thought. Releasing it, which is the process that I will be giving you in the 4 steps. And then finally, empowering new beliefs, your desire, your role as a creator, etc., to replace the limiting, lack, or negative belief. So 3 steps: awareness, release, and empower. So this video is specifically on the middle step, about releasing it. And this is actually the most pivotal step because it frees up your energy and your consciousness to then empower what it is you want. So the process itself is taken from a book called The Work by Byron Katie, a terrific spiritual teacher. And it's usually used actually for just emotional healing in general, not really in a law of attraction context. But we can use it in a context. So how does it work? Well, firstly, we recognize we're in a negative state. We're feeling lack, we're feeling resistance, fear, anything like that, anything that is undesirable to us and contradicts our dream life and our desire and that general notion of that abundant feeling of living with our wish fulfilled. We identify that, and then we isolate the thought we must be thinking. Usually it's triggered directly to an event, and usually it's around whatever you're trying to manifest. For example, a loving relationship, a financial state of freedom, a career goal, or a personal goal. And there are various layers to it, but capture whichever one you can. Usually it's in the form of this: if X happens, then I will receive Y suffering. For example, if I don't manifest love and this loving relationship, then I will be lonely. That's one example. Or if this business fails, then I will be proven as a worthless person. If I don't get the money right now, then I will end up on the street. 3 random kinds of limiting, doubtful, negative thoughts, right? So you isolate that. Let's go with that example about love. Say it's a loving relationship you're trying to manifest. So let's say we have been single for a while, then we impress that desire through imagination, affirmations, and whatever else, a vision of ourselves being with a perfect partner. And we're feeling really good, we're building momentum in that, it's definitely impressing into our subconscious. Then one day we wake up and we feel a sense of fear and anxiety. We don't know where this is coming from. In that moment, we wake up and identify these emotions are signaling to me that I'm involved in some kind of negative thought. So we isolate that, and with a little bit of inner work, we realize something I saw on TV last night triggered me. And the thought was, if I don't have the relationship, then I will be lonely. Then you ask these questions. The first one is this true? And this is an honest exercise. You literally ask yourself and answer as you honestly think. Is this true? Maybe it's yes. Maybe you feel like, yes, if this person on here, then I don't have companionship. That's what lonely means to me. Fine, go with whatever you answer. Now, perhaps you at that point say no, it's not true. Maybe you can see some reason it won't be true. That's fine too. Whatever it is, move on to question 2, which is, can you absolutely know it's true? This is where you really look with an objective lens and you say, if I was to take $1 million and bet on the fact that this is 100% true, or if I was to take the life of a loved one and bet their life that I am absolutely right, that this thought is true 100% of the time for everyone in all contexts, then you'd make that bet. And you will find 100% of the time that the answer to this is no. You cannot absolutely know that it is true. And that's a fundamental kind of truth about epistemology, but that's a topic for another time. So in this case, you might say, well, actually, Some of the time when I'm alone, I enjoy myself. I have hobbies and I'm an introverted person by nature, and I actually do enjoy my own company. And in fact, I have many friends and I know of many people that never got into long-term intimate relationships and they're just doing fine. In fact, what about enlightened yogis that can sit by themselves in a cave for 10 years, all alone, no romantic relationship, and they seem some of the happiest, blissful people on the earth? Maybe that's not right for me, but I'm at least acknowledging that this thought of if I don't have this, then it necessarily means I will be lonely may be a little bit false. And then, what does lonely mean? Lack of companionship? What does that person give me? They give me certain experiences that cause me positive emotions. But aren't positive emotions fueled by thoughts? So what thoughts am I thinking when I'm with someone in a romantic relationship that makes me not feel lonely, that makes me feel connected? It may be the thought, I am loved. Well, am I loved? Yeah, I love myself. Well, isn't that the same in some sense as having it fueled by someone else in a relationship? To some degree. Either way, see how you're doing kind of a mental gymnastics. You're trying to poke away at that certainty in this belief, and in poking holes in it, it starts to crumble beneath you, and you start to really see that the own black and white logic of your mind that makes you feel this way is not 100% true. And that means that's not 100% worth listening. You just need to find that edge. Now, moving on, when you find that edge and you go, no, it's not 100% true, you move on to 3. How do you react and what happens when you believe this thought? Well, I contract up, I feel doubt, I feel fear, I feel sadness, I don't feel like going on dates. If I do go on dates, I have a wall up and I don't expose myself, I'm not open and with a loving heart because I fear that I'll be rejected. I'm constantly worrying if I'm coming off as impressive enough, as sophisticated enough, as likable enough. And in fact, I'm needy and I might be actually repelling people away because I want this to happen so bad. And I'm constantly feeling in a lack and I'm not enjoying my life. My diet goes out the window. I'm not enjoying work. I'm consumed by this idea of a romantic relationship not working out. That might be the answer. Basically, it'll be very evident how this thought form manifests in a vast number of contexts in your life. You may actually be quite stunned as to the power and ramifications that a single limiting or negative thought can have over your life. But nonetheless, getting awareness over it is really, really positive and courageous of you, and it's the number one step in transcending it. So by this point, you're getting a real understanding over your relationship to this thought and the logic of this thought, and you're reaching a choice point to whether you want to continue to embrace it with your consciousness and place energy behind it. So you move on to number 4 and you ask yourself, who would you be without this thought? Imagine that this thought, if I don't manifest a loving relationship, then I will be lonely. Imagine if that thought could literally never appear in your awareness again. It's like it disappeared from existence. It's like if a word was in the dictionary and then you went to look back in the dictionary and it just was gone. There's no entry for it. You can't read it. You can't think it at all. You can't be aware of it, and thus you can't experience any of the emotions or effects on your behavior and results in life that stem from this thought. So who would you be without the thought? And rest in that space, pause in that space, and honestly go there. And you'll find that a space opens up, a sense of relief, a sense of freedom, a sense of love, a sense of trust and faith, hope, joy. A vast space also opens up for you to then empower what it is you want to focus on, which tends to be an opposite thought to the limiting one. It tends to be an abundant thought, such as, there are so many people out there and I'm so worthy of love. I know it's going to happen, and it's going to happen perfectly and at the right time. It's going to be something that brings me such happiness and delight because fundamentally I love myself. It's a long thought. Probably come up with something a bit shorter than that, but you get the idea. You're starting to go in the other direction and get the wheels in the wheels are in motion in an opposite direction. And you'll feel really good. You feel a sense of release. That's the process. That's it. Do it yourself and you'll see the power of it. Now let's move on to some key points when doing this process is that to neutralize a negative thought or limiting belief is not to energize it. They don't necessarily equal the other. So, for example, if you make peace with not having a loving relationship and having to create your own self-love and lack of loneliness, if you make peace with that very idea, that doesn't mean that you're saying, yes, law of attraction, bring me that to my life. Quite the contrary. You are removing the importance and therefore the negative energy and resistance within your being and frequency that would actually create that very reality. You're returning back to level ground into that state of unconditional love and peace within yourself. And from this place, you can then empower what it is you want. So you gain peace in the present moment, which in and of itself would manifest more peace. Therefore, very likely a loving relationship would come regardless. But on top of that, then you have your free will to consciously create something even more delightful on top of this foundation of peace. Secondly, sometimes it takes multiple repetitions and even time, as in hours, days, and weeks, between one session to really start to feel the walls of a old limiting belief come down, to really feel like you've got a whole view of it from all of its angles, and then you can truly set it aside, truly feel it release from your being. Other times it's like that, and in fact, the more you practice it, the more you get very quick releases. So do it multiple times, and if they keep coming up, that's okay. It means you're doing so much right. You're addressing so much within yourself, and most people never even look within themselves in the first place. So you are having such strength, courage, positivity, and empowerment behind you, and you deserve absolute self-love for that. So be very kind to yourself. Do the process over and over again until you start to feel the results that you know are there for you and that you are worthy of. And finally, when you get really good, you can do speed rounds. In the traditional sense, you normally pull out a journal. It takes quite a bit of time to think this through, and that's actually a great thing. But when you do this process dozens and dozens of times, you start to memorize the questions off of your memory right there in the present moment. You can feel emotion, immediately capture it, immediately isolate the thought, apply the techniques, the questions so fast, arrive at an answer, and immediately feel good again. So you catch it like that, and you just align like that. And any resistant thing almost just falls away instantly because it knows that it can't gain any traction in the loving light that you've become in your own present consciousness. That's an amazing empowered state to be. And that is kind of what flow is, or what 4D/5D living is. Complete surrender, flow, and empowerment from your heart, from a abundant, joyful state. Of course, I'm not perfect with this. In fact, just yesterday, I had to really sit down and do these questions for a limiting belief that came up. That's all normal. We're all human beings, and we will be processing these kinds of emotions from our subconscious to varying degrees, likely for the rest of our lives. And that's okay. So anyway, those are my tips, and that's the overall 4-step process. If you like this video, please like it, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my channel. Check out my website if you'd like to have some one-on-one coaching with me, and stay tuned for more videos on how to manifest your dream life.